Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Behind the Chains. Today I'm here with Ryan, who handles K.I.S.S, Bethany and Ashley Kenyon, and their manager Nikki Peltier. How's it going?
And the Cornbread Mafia too.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, and the Cornbread Mafia. How's it going, dude?
Well, it's kind of dark now, but you know, it's like, I don't know, what time is it? 3:45 in the morning?
It's dark here too for a change. We actually have something in common. Except for me, it's 7:45 at night. So, first question, where were you born and where do you live now?
I was born in upstate New York, and I live now on the border of Georgia and North Carolina. In the mountains.
Yeah, I'm jealous
I
of
live
where you live.
supposedly like an hour and a half away from where Shane was from. That he's from like Asheville, which is not that far away at all.
Nice. Cool. Well, how long have you been e-petting for, and how did you get into it?
Since November 2002.
Wow.
And
12 years.
Yeah, it never really feels that long, but it is.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that even I've been doing it almost 10 years
It never feels that long. It's always shocking when we go, yeah, and CPW is going to have a pay-per-view next week that's something 12. And we're like, that doesn't sound right, but it is. How did I get into it?
Yeah.
I saw some idiot on Game Facts who was going, I'm going to do this. And nobody else was paying attention to him, so I went, alright, I gotta see what this moron's talking about just to see why everybody's ignoring him. And I clicked on it, and it was an E-Fed with like the single worst name you've ever seen. The Evil Pay-Per-View Federation.
That's right, I knew that.
It was the Evil Pay-Per-View Wrestling Federation, but still, he called it TEPWF. Pretty much.
Lots of random numbers.
It was,
and letters.
and he himself was terrible, but, you know, he didn't know that, so... Bless him, it was one of the... nobody in that Fed, I actually met Anson there, and that was... Nobody in that Fed was any good. Nobody had any idea what they were doing, so... It just looked like he had learned from somewhere else and decided, hey, I can do this just as well as that guy can, and he was wrong. But, God bless him, it didn't stop him.
Well, always a trier, is it?
I've met a few of those before. That you just look at after a while and go, what are you doing? I got the one guy in CPW now who has made, I can't remember how many side feds, and they always go the same way. They start out, he comes up with whatever the hot gimmick is at the time, whether it's an all chicks fed, or like Chikara ripoff, or you know, regional state indie, like he's from Wisconsin, so he makes them from Wisconsin or Chicago, or whatever, Ring of Honor, ECW, the CZW, whatever the hot thing is at the time. He will make one that's like that.
He does that.
It'll go fine for the first month or two. And then inevitably he will book himself on top. Then he will job everybody else in the Fed to himself. Not because he's being an asshole, but because he legitimately thinks he's the best guy there. He's usually wrong. And by the time he gets to the last guy in the place, everybody else is already pissed off and has quit. And then he gets pissed off when somebody accuses him of being a self-aggrandizing tool. And he flips out and closes the place and then thinks everybody's out to get him. And the process repeats itself 6 months later. Just with a different gimmick and name. And it's happened. He's been doing this for a decade now.
And he's not learning from his mistakes?
Not really. I mean, his writing has gotten a little bit better, but for the most part, it's the same as it was 10 years ago. And it wasn't that great then. I mean, he's one of those guys that if you read him for 5 seconds, you can tell he is like the most ADD riddled guy ever. And if you just talk to him on IMs, he's like that there too. And you can tell his brain is doing a million miles an hour, and his fingers can do maybe 50. So his brain's on page 1,000. He's just now typing page 2. But because his brain's on page 1,000, that's what the page 2 ends on. So you got the decent start, you got the nice ending, and everything in the middle kind of got shoved into 2 pages. And it jumps like crazy. His matches are like that too, where the matches he writes for his feds, you'll get a nice intro because the people have written out their intros, and he'll put those in. You'll get like 5 moves that don't really go together. And then whatever finish he thought was cool that week, probably because he saw it at a Chikara show or whatever he was looking at that week, and that's it. And you'll read this and go, bro, you've done how many feds now? You should know better than this by now, but not usually.
Hasn't learned. No.
Do you really, honestly, every time he does another one, you feel sorry for him?
Oh. Oh, well. Alright, well, next question is, what people have you worked with most in the Fed, and who have you enjoyed working with the most?
In UWA?
Yeah.
You. More recently, Tim, I have worked with some. He seems to really like the crazy party ideas I'll come up with for certain characters, but
yeah, I've seen some of your ideas in the chat.
I think we've used most of them too. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you want to work with in the future?
I don't know. I haven't seen
No one's
enough of everybody. Yet? I mean, the Dark Camelot dude, his name's Thomas. He started talking to me a bunch, and he seems like he's got some really sick fucking ideas that would be really cool. He just needs the moment to set it up and go for it, and he kind of showed he could do it last week when he beat T.
Yeah.
It looked like it shocked the shit out of everybody. Hey, go for it, dude.
Yeah. That was a pretty crazy win, eh? Oh, next question is, who is your favourite character in the Fed? That's not your own.
Favorite in the Fed. Well, I think Erin Donnelly's always cool just because, badass chick.
Oh, yeah.
The one guy from Dark Camelot he had that I got to write the match for, the one who's kind of like the wolf guy, Kyle Northman. He looks like his entire gimmick is that the guy's like a feral animal in the ring anyway. And I'm like, that could be fun to play with. And that's some cool shit. The Vinnie Jones guy looks like he could be fun too, just because he totally is, his poser's Samuel L. Jackson, and the character is totally that.
Can't go wrong with that.
Totally, you know, there's a bad motherfucker that you halfway to go. Here's my bad motherfucker wallet.
Who is your favourite character of your own and why? Like,
out
of all your characters you've ever had.
Man.
Narrow it down to all your current ones, including new and CPW.
Oh, it's probably
still a lot of characters.
It's probably one of those. Okay, pick your favorite one in this place, pick your favorite one in that one, pick your favorite one in that one, and then, you know.
I'll just pick one from each bed then.
Well, I suppose lately Bethany in UWA has been the major focus so far. Obviously, we got a couple others who could start to challenge that soon, but for right now, back over in CPW, it's probably the Slade brothers, just because they were the first ones, and they still get more run than everybody else. Although Zero has been fun just because of how much he pisses everybody off. That's just fun when they go. The people want to play with him so much because they're like, we know he'll say something to piss my character off. Please, can I play against him just so that I can be that mad? I'm like, okay. What do you want him to say? All right, I'll make him be the total asshole there. Let's go. And in new, it's no shock. It's probably Riot.
Is there a reason for that?
He's the oldest one I got that's there. You know that place I mentioned, the TPWF? Riot and Dice were made up there. Only, it was eons ago, but they've pretty much stayed intact that way. They've just had 4 years of actual usage there. Well, pushing 5, but still. But, they got made way back when, and then they got shelved for like 5 years. Then they got used a little bit in another place, and now they got used there just because I'm like, when they asked me to come in there from the start, I went, all right, what's the stupidest idea I've had in a while? I know, I'll make a brother tag team that sounds like the Honeymooners. Where I'll have the one guy says fuck literally every other word, and the other one talks in some way that pisses the other one off and makes him say fuck every other word. So the one guy talks and the other one goes, I swear to God, if you weren't my fucking brother, I'd knock you the fuck out. And just, that was their gimmick. The first year, that's all that happened. I mean, the one got a girlfriend 6 months in, and that was because the guy who was handling that particular chick basically gave me the character. That was Steelin. That was actually Rico's character, the guy who played K.I.S.S. Kazama. He went, I don't want to play with her anymore. That. Here, you can have her. I went, okay. Say so.
Okay, so the next question is, who in your opinion is the best role player in the Fed?
That seems to be a toss-up week to week, man. You've seen, it's been Trina some weeks, it's been Shane others, it's been Chris others, it's been Tim. I think everybody and their brother thought it was gonna be Nick Daniels to begin with, and then he fucked off.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea. He looked like 1 week he was here and totally doing his Silent Hill town deal, and then the next week he decided to shelf that and go to that Japanese tag team that lasted like a show, and then he left. So I don't know if he had problems or what. That's probably what it turned out to be. He probably had some kind of problem and had beef, but you know.
Yeah.
With him gone, there's like 4 or 5 of them that are like, okay, any week it could be that one, 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 which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of suck if it was like one person and then like 4 or 5 others and then everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of has that element of unpredictability there.
Yeah.
You don't know who's gonna, you know, somebody will beat someone one week or not the next, or yeah. Okay, so what people in the Fed do you talk to a lot outside of the Fed?
You, Tim, Thomas, Trina, Shane, Chris. I think that's it.
Pretty much the same list as me, except I've never talked to Thomas.
Yeah, he messaged me on Facebook after his first week, and we've been talking there ever since.
Oh. Cool. What are your interests outside of the Fed? Do you work or study? If so, where and what do you do?
Pretty much, I take care of Shannon. That's basically what I do.
Nice.
And then we roll around and look for, like, she likes to go shopping for crappy horror movies, and oh dear God.
We have something in common there.
Oh man, and she doesn't even buy good ones. She buys ones you're like, I've never even heard of that. Who the hell is in it? You look at the name of everybody involved and go, I've never heard of this company. I've never heard of any of these people. You really spent money on this? Oh my God. And then she pops it in and watches it and is like, all giddy, and then 90% of the time it turns out to be the worst schlock you've ever seen, and she's kicking herself for spending money on it. Although she did watch one earlier today where it was one of those, it's so bad, it's funny. And I think it turned out to actually, it wasn't really a movie, it was like something they made as a TV show called Twisted Tales by the guy who did the original Fright Night. And I recognized a couple of people in it because it had like Amber Benson from Buffy the Vampire Slayer was in one. Oh frick, what's that guy's name? William Forsythe, who is one of those guys you see and go, oh, I know that guy, and was in Rob Zombie's Halloween as the douchebag boyfriend with the broken hand that gets his throat slit. He was in one. I recognize a couple other people, but that was, I'm like looking at this going, how did this guy get these people? Then I went and looked him up and went, oh, because he did like Fright Night and a couple other like big horror movies in the 80s. Okay, that's how he got these people to work with him. But they're the kind of ones you're listening to and going, tell me these people didn't really get paid to act like that. Please tell me these people, this is horrible. Because it just sounded like they were reading rather than acting. So
I hate that.
And some of the dialogue was like the worst crap you've ever heard. Like you're going, seriously, I realize you had to push the thing along, but people don't talk like that. Oh dear God.
No.
But some of the effects and some of the things were so funny that you couldn't really feel bad for having spent money on it because she was being entertained. She was laughing her ass off. I'm like, well, okay, it's one of those like Mystery Science Theater 3000 level movies. Okay.
Cool. So, who are your favourite and least favourite wrestlers in real life? Male or female or whatever?
Of all time or now?
Of all time.
it's sort of like the EFED characters. I used to have favorites for each company. Like, because I watched from like the late 80s on, so I was like, okay, WCW, I'm a Sting guy. From back when he was, the surfer guy who howled a lot. And then I was always a tag team guy, so I was like the Road Warriors, no matter what company they were in, or whatever team Arn Anderson was in at the time. And then in the WWF, I was always a Shawn Michaels guy. Back from the Rockers days, all the way through, and Demolition, and then into later on when you got to the DX levels and shit. And then I was also an ECW guy, so I liked Raven and Taz and Rob Van Dam and the Eliminators and the Dudley Boys.
Who are your favourite current ones?
Who do I like now?
Out of all the new up-and-comers?
Oh.
Yeah.
Who do I like now? Well, I got into Danielson when he was in Ring of Honor, so I like him. And Austin Aries that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well.
He's doing pretty well for himself.
And
yeah.
I suppose Chris will love the fact that I like Bray Wyatt, but who's shocked there since I liked Raven and Jake Roberts and all those guys. So of course I like Bray Wyatt. Yeah, there's a pattern there.
I see a pattern there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like Bray Wyatt too. So.
That was kind of.
He's probably the only pretty boy guy I don't like. He's not a pretty boy.
No, but his
like
brothers.
Everyone else I like.
His brother's a pretty boy.
That is true.
I remember thinking that when I first saw them. You
really
look at them when they first got there and went, how can one brother be so fucking bloated and the other one just have okay, he's going to be swimming in chicks any second now, and you're like,
yeah.
And these two are brothers. How the hell did that happen? But then I remember when the Steiner brothers showed up, that kind of happened with them too. That you would see Rick Steiner at the time, and he was big and established and had sort of a little curly fro going on. And when Scott Steiner first showed up, he was skinny as a rail, he had long dark hair, and he was kind of a pretty boy. And you had to look at that and go, that's Rick Steiner's little brother? That can't possibly be Rick Steiner's little brother. It's like looking at Goldust and Cody when he first came up and go, that's Goldust's little brother. But they are. And, same thing with the Steiners and same thing with Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. Kind of look at that and go, no way. But then when fucking Bray Wyatt grew his hair out, you could kind of see it. And go, okay, yeah, I see it. He's way bigger, but I see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always hilarious to think that IRS is their dad. That's amazing. To go, IRS is their dad and Barry Windham's their uncle. Which you can totally see in Bray Wyatt. He wrestles way more like his uncle than he does his father. But that's probably just because Barry Windham was so much bigger.
Yeah. Okay. What is your inspiration for your characters? Where did they come from? And
that usually depends on which one we're talking about and whether or not they started with you.
Yeah. A lot of them do. I think all of your ones in UWA started because
of the Mafia didn't, but that was... Yeah.
Oh, the Mafia didn't,
The Cornbread Mafia... The Cornbread Mafia was a joke on camp. That's why their names are Cameron and Sean Worley, because his name is Cameron Sean Worley. And if you have ever heard him talk, you know exactly where I got that from. Because that's what he says.
It totally is.
You know, he's a pervy little redneck from South Carolina, and that's exactly what they are. Matter of fact, he thought it was so fun. They were a joke that I did in a Riot and Dice RP for Christmas one year. That was their first thing. Was I did it because they weren't booked, but it was one of those. It was their first Secret Santa thing. So they said, if you RP, we'll put you in. They lied. They didn't get booked in anything on that show, but the RP was funny. Because I hadn't had Dice do the hip hop speak gimmick for like 6 months then, so I had him do it, and I had him do it with them talking. Because Cam always used to do the I'm bad shit, but with Southern accent. So I had the two of them talk with Dice, and it drove Riot crazy. Because now there were three of them. Not just one. And Cam...
would be tearing his hair out, wouldn't
thought it was fucking hilarious. And so did Mark, who was the Fed head at the time. Because Mark had been looking for somebody to play Southern redneck characters. I have no idea why he liked them, but he wanted them. And I did it again on the next show, only this time it was a priest one. Now, you know this character. Picture Robbie Priest talking to those two. And at the end, he just looks at the camera, and sometimes you just have to say, "What the fuck?" And again, it went over like $1 million. Cam thought it was hilarious. Mark thought it was hilarious, to the point that the two of them sat me down and went, "You are making these characters. You are making them real, and you are playing them all the time." And I went, "I am," and they went, "Yes, you are." And then Cam was actually originally supposed to play the one using his first name. He was supposed to be Cam Worley, and I was supposed to be Sean Worley.
Oh.
And the funniest part to me of that was, the first thing I thought of when I saw a pervy little Southern dude named Worley was the rock band Jackal, because it has two guys in it named Worley, the drummer and the guitar player, the Worley brothers. And Jackal is Southern and as pervy a rock band as you get. So I'm like, oh my god, it's Cam. And he somehow, in all of his perviness and in all of his, as Southern as he is, as pervy as he is, he'd never heard of Jackal. Never. So I played the two songs that I used as theme songs for them were the first two Jackal songs he'd ever heard. And of course he thought they were awesome and proceeded to look up their entire catalog then after hearing that. But, I sat there and went, alright, we're going to do this. One of them's going to use Rock-a-Ho, the other one's going to use Dumbass Country Boy, and we'll do them as that. And then the first show he no-showed and looked at me and went, you do them better, you play them both. And they were pretty much a joke on whatever he was doing at the time, right up till the time they weren't booked anymore. Matter of fact, the last time they got booked in New, they got squashed by a team that only half showed up. And never heard from again until we brought them over here and they got to play with whoever, Chris books them with. Although I don't think he likes them very much.
Oh, really?
I don't think he likes the accents.
Why not?
I guess. I
too
don't
many
know.
accents.
I mean, he might like the characters fine. I just think the accent drives him crazy.
You should think himself lucky I don't write Skylar's accent.
Yeah, but that would
Not
be
that she
weird
has much
just
of one
'cause
now, or...
the mixture you would get from her, because you would say, okay, she's born in Norway, and then moved to New York City, which means she went from sounding like the people in like Nightwish to sounding like fucking Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a pair of accents. And then say she moved to Canada. So now you're throwing on top of that, you know, the way, say, I don't know. Yeah.
Anthony talk.
That's a pretty good one, because that's pretty much where he moved to. So you think about that shit and go, now put those three accents together, because that's the three things she would have heard before she was 16. And try and come up with what that would sound like. You can't. That accent has never existed in real life. God knows what it would sound like. Trying to write that would be a royal pain in the ass. And for God knows what it would be like trying to read it.
Oh, I don't even want to think about how hard it would be to read.
Yeah, that would just be nuts. As for the other characters we got here, K.I.S. was because we were bringing over Jessica and Nikki and decided, hey, let's make all the Birds of Prey. Hell, we already got Oracle and whichever one Jessica is supposed to be.
She's kind of a hybrid now.
I don't remember which one she's supposed to start out as, but she's probably not that anymore.
She was kind of Huntress, kind of Hit Girl, which I know isn't Birds of Prey, but... Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. But yeah, more so Huntress.
And, you know... We got the Kenyan name from the names of the books that we got Jessica and Nikki's last names from, so...
Yep. Yep, Cheryl and Kenyon, my favourite authors, like ever.
Throw them together and we got that. I made the name look like a comic book with the way they always do, you know, Shield, Strike, Hammer. I'm sure there are a bunch more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but, you know, there's God knows how many of those, and that's what, as I recall, I made it be Cat Industry Special Services and made one of their mom's maiden name be Cat, so it was literally their Catwoman's daughters.
Yep. Which in itself is awesome. She's my favorite.
I believe one of the people in the Birds of Prey was supposed to be her daughter, so...
Yep. Well, kind of. It depends if you're talking about the TV series
technically,
or the
she has been in both, actually.
And then it... Yeah. And it depends if you're talking about Earth 1 or Earth 2.
Which reboot you're talking about, but, you know... Since they do that shit all the time.
Yeah, because the current Huntress is actually Helena Wayne, so... And she's in, you know, our Earth 1, so...
It is kind of like when they talk about, hey, are they going to be true to the comics? Which version are you talking about? Because even like when somebody says, are they going to use the Superman outfit? Well, are you talking about the one they used first in the fucking 40s? You can talk about the one they used in the 50s, the two they used in the 60s, the one in the 70s, the four different ones they used in the 80s between the TV shows, the cartoons, and the movies, or which one are you talking about being true to, man? The same thing could be with Huntress there, where there's like 4 different backstories at this point, depending on which version you're talking about.
Yeah, Helena Wayne or Helena Birkenau.
Or the one off the TV show, even.
Even. Yeah, or she was Helena Wayne. No, Helena Kyle, rather.
Yeah.
Technically Helena Wayne.
So it's one of those where, you know.
Yeah.
That's where we come up with that, and I think Skylar and Kraven were just because you wanted to bring over... and that wasn't going to work, because I think we were going to have to change everything on Kieran but the name and the song. So it wasn't really going to be him anymore. And I can't remember what we were going to have to change on Jenny, but I'm pretty sure we were going to have to change a couple of things on her, so it wasn't really going to be her either. So it was kind of like, okay, let's just play with new toys. We might as well.
Yeah, Scarlet's pretty cool. I love playing her.
Which it's...
We already have, like, the next 3 months worth of roleplays written.
Which is still the weirdest thing to me, to say the fucking new has made Kieran a main event guy. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Considering he started off as a side character.
He started out as like a throwaway boyfriend. I think he made it, what, 3 RPs the first time, like 2 the second time before Little Rapey happened.
Yeah.
And now
look at him.
Now he's in a 3-way dance with Romeo Styles and Eric Donovan for the world title.
Yeah, and that's what, only 2 years, 3 years?
Something like that. That's got to be one of the stranger character arcs ever. To go from, hey, can we get rid of him, to, hey, can we put the world title on him? That shit's unheard of. To go, yeah, we got rid of him. He was gone. He wasn't anything, and now he's.
And then we just needed someone to.
Now he's torturing interviewers.
He's so awesome. So how many characters have you had? Sort of a rough estimate, since I know you've had heaps.
Well, let's see. We got, counting the manager, we got 6 here. Unless, of course, we start counting the girlfriends I just gave the whirlies, in which case I'd be 8.
And the boyfriend
Honestly,
you're giving
if you start counting the side characters, man, it's probably a good dozen just here, and then probably at least that in new, because I think I had I want to say I had 7 booked on the pay-per-view that's on Sunday. I want to say it's that many, because it was, let's see. There's Kieran in the main event, Robbie Priest fighting Purity, Dice and Misty fighting for the tag titles, Riot, Adrian Murdoch, and the bad Michael Hayes joke character, so that's 7. So that was 7 on that pay-per-view.
Damn.
And that's not counting the ones that aren't booked there anymore, like Linnea. So I probably had, I would bet I have had a good dozen there. And then CPW is probably a roster in and of itself at this point, just because it tends to be with that one that I'll make one character from someplace else, like an Adrian Murdoch, like Ronnie Lester, like who else have I done that with? Terry Williams, that have all started out somewhere else, have gone decently well somewhere else, and then that place dies. But I don't want to put the character down, so I bring them over there. And now, instead of having 3 characters there, I have 3 dozen. Whatever it is, I don't know. I have no idea. I would bet actively I've played 50 different characters. At least.
Wow. Well, then when I think about it, I've probably had about...
And they're probably all married to me.
Yep.
Or almost all of them, anyway.
Yeah, I'm just thinking,
Yeah, she
was.
wasn't.
I had Ketra. She was for Jess, so no, she wasn't. That's the only one I can think of that isn't. Or hasn't been with
It's like
Jess.
her and the new Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah, she's with me.
That's about it. I think the rest of them whether you meant to or not, they all ended up at some point either because something stupid like Little Rapey happened or whatever, or like the way Lisbethia was made to be with Anthony and then he left and she ended up with me too.
Yeah. What are your characters' motivations?
That
talking about the ones in UWA.
Depends on which ones you're talking about.
We'll go through them all individually.
Well, Kraven's is just to find Skylar. That one's pretty simple.
That's true.
At least right now.
It's been 8 years trying to find it.
That one's pretty simple. But that's because...
As to why he's finding it, we'll find out later.
That's because he was based on Kieran, and that's what Kieran was. Kieran was originally, the tunnel vision on one person.
Yeah, he was totally focused on Xena.
That's why he's like that, because that's who he was supposed to be. Only we decided, maybe we can get rid of the whole gang rape thing to begin with, and go this way.
Yeah.
That's still amazing. He's a main eventer, and the first thing he did was set up a gang rape. Like, really?
Yeah.
I'm amazing. I'm amazed Anson hasn't kicked my ass all over Hell's Half Acre for that one, just because of the time he comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to make this big honking guy, big honking heel, and I got this idea for it." "Oh yeah, what is it?" "I'm gonna have him rape somebody." "What are you talking about? That's the stupidest thing ever. That'll never work.
Never work."
And here it was like 4 years later, and I'm doing it. I'm like, oh my god. The difference though was that when he did it, he raped somebody that wasn't a wrestler and had nobody to fight for her. So it was kind of pointless, and it didn't make the character. His other problem with that was though that he didn't let the character win anything, so he wasn't a heel so much as he was a bitch. I mean, you just had to look at him and go, "What? Why did you have him do that if all you were going to do was make him cannon fodder for everybody else?" So that character didn't go anywhere for a while, as opposed to Kieran, who, set up a gang rape and now is main eventing pay-per-views.
And he's taken out how many characters?
Oh god.
Over the years?
Well, if we count the Fallen Angels, that was the first two. Then he got both of Brandy. Then he got Ross Reigns. Then he got the original Jessica Gaucher. And Jenny. So that's what, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think as of right now, the only one who's back is I think Brandy came back as a surprise for the pay-per-view on Sunday. Today.
Oh, I thought she wasn't. Yeah, I thought she wasn't coming back.
She RP'd today, only nobody knew it was coming. Because they've been asking her for like a week, all week. "Hey, when are you and Andy coming back? Hey, when are you?" And she said she had to go talk to him, and then she RP'd today because she's like, this is stupid. It's because it's the Royal Rumble one they do. And they think they had 3 open spots when they pulled all the numbers. And so they're like, well, maybe we'll find 3 other people, and she showed up. Yeah, so she's back. She's the only one who's back, but she's back. And if Anthony had stayed, he'd be going out right now because his computer just bit the big one. Yeah. He warned me yesterday at night, and then he goes, "I'm taking it into the shop. It's making weird grinding noises." And the second he told me that, I said it out loud, and Shannon went, "Oh, his hard drive's dying." And that computer's screwed. and he took it into the shop, and damn if that's not exactly what the problem was.
Oh, I remember when our hard drive fried. That was so frustrating.
So now he's like,
I lost like a huge story that I was working on. Like I lost like
God
half
knows
of it.
what he's lost, but yeah.
Because it was on the desktop.
He's like, oh, this sucks. I basically lived my life on that computer. And his knee was kicking his ass lately, too. So now he's like, he's got a bum knee, and his computer's fried. Yep.
Oh, double whammy. Oh, they say things happen in threes. Hopefully nothing else will happen to him.
So he's got that. So that's, that's how Kraven is kind of tunnel visioned at the moment for the 2 seconds we've seen him. You can't run forever.
Yep. No, you can't.
Yeah.
But she'll definitely try.
What would you call the Kenyan sisters' motivations other than we want to keep the friends together? The one's trying to find who she is, and the other one is kind of partying the day away. Yeah,
just there to have fun.
That seems to be them.
And
Nikki's trying to hold it all together. And sort of doing a decent job, too.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's with them.
She is.
The Whirlies, I don't think they had one to begin with. They were just kind of, they were a joke on somebody. Now, that kind of went away when they come here, because, what, yeah, good as joking on somebody who's not here. I mean, he's gone over new anyway, because he left to go get married, and I mean, he's not even. He shows up once in a blue moon now. I have no idea. Married? I know that's what he supposedly went off to do. For all I know, he could be now.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on Facebook.
Well, yeah, but he hasn't been around much either, so. At all. That was like. He went off to go deal with school, that, and whatever else he was doing.
Yeah.
So, that's... Originally, that all they did was, whatever he had been doing that week to drive people crazy, I would somehow turn that into a joke RP. Like, the 1 week he was... The week he started doing the whole Cam's Apples thing and started jokingly flirting with that Vanessa chick, that week, the Whirly brothers suddenly had an infomercial for Cam's Hard Apple Cider. And I think he had like cans candied apples bathed in sugar from Miss Vanessa's honey pot. Which sounded way dirtier than it should, because Vanessa's honey pot was actually a name of a bar. But if you looked at them on the board, that was his euphemism for wanting to do her. And he would talk about all the things he would do to her honey pot, and so I made it a bar that they frequented that had that Vanessa was the name of the woman who owned the bar, and then the waitresses were named after the other female handlers in the place at the time. Just because all of you had names that ended with INA, so it sounded like they were like triplets. Because it was you, Gina, Mina, and the funny part was after Mina left, then Trina came in, so that kind of worked too. So it would have been Selina, Gina, and Trina.
Yeah.
Now, I guess they're just more of your straightforward tag team that's like, okay, the one guy's kind of more of a angry brawler, and the other one's kind of the one going, okay, calm down, man, we'll be fine, we'll do this. Let's rumble. They just still have Cam's accent. which is hilarious when you have to sit there and write about it, and they're all like, how do you do that? And I'm like, easy, I just picture how my neighbor across the street would say something. Because that's what he sounds like, and oh my god, does that guy have, like, the accent from hell. But that's, I always go, okay, how would, his name's Clive, and I always go, okay, how would Clive say that? Because he has that massive accent going on, and I'm like, alright, picture how he would say it. Write it out. Okay, there's an RP. Done.
Easy. Okay, the next question is, in what way do you think your characters have grown or changed since their debut in UWA?
Well, the whirlies, that one's easy. The joke went away. Because they're not a joke anymore. They came in here and suddenly they were not. They were just guys with weird accents rather than, okay, let's fuck with Cam now. Oh, and now they've got girlfriends, which is something that never would have happened before.
Yeah, they were always trying and never
the joke on
succeeding,
Cam
weren't
was that he always seemed like the kid who just could never get laid, so he was obsessed with it. So of course that was part of the joke with them, was that they would look around and go, hey baby, how you doing? They would sort of be like Beavis and Butthead that way, where they would go, hey baby, wanna, you know, go away. Every time. And I sort of got to do that once here with them with Aaron, where we did the one match where Sentinel, Aaron, and Cam Worley were a team, and we did an RP where the Worley brothers met Aaron at a bar, and Cam thought she was hot, and Sean's going, would you stop trying to hit on her, man? We sort of need her to be happy with us. And of course the whole time Cam's acting like Cam and going, shut up, I know what I'm doing. And of course across the bar there's Aaron just laughing at him like, you're an idiot. Which worked perfectly. Of course, you know, she sounded way better than I do, saying, Jesus Christ, you're an idiot. And then the next week is when I started thinking about it. I went, alright, what can I do to make them get past that? What can we do with them that will actually make them real characters and not just like sort of flat, one-dimensional, okay, this is a one-note joke that got played into the ground 6 months ago. I went, oh, let's give them girlfriends. And at first I'm like, okay, what kind of chicks would they go for? And I was just going to go for like hot blondes, but then I went, that's probably stupid since we already have 2. Technically we have 3 now.
Yeah.
You know, Erin Donnelly's Ronda Rousey, meaning she's a hot blonde now too. And then you have the beautiful people, and you have, I don't remember what the Knights look like, but I'm sure one of them probably is too. So you have a whole boatload of these already. So alright, that's out. None of those. And then I went, okay, we can make them rocker chicks, but then half of them will just look like, okay, look, it's another Selina character. So I went, maybe I can look. What's something that you would not think, okay, these southern redneck guys would go for? I know, let's go look up, see if we can find rocker chicks who would look Mexican. And I can't remember even what I was looking at the time when I saw, oh god, which one's the singer? Yeah, that one. I saw her on some list of like hot metal chicks. I want to say on YouTube. It was a video that was set to an OTEP song.
Oh, she's hot too. I see her.
Yeah, but she's usually blonde, so that was kind of outright. That she was kind of outright from away there
Yeah,
because she was
correct.
blonde. But I saw her and went, oh, I wonder how many good pictures without the guitar we could find. And looked it up and went, okay, I found a couple of good pictures of her and her sister. I'm using them. And then went, okay, now who gets who? Okay, the older one's the one with the Frankenstein tattoo. She gets the older brother. And the other chick gets the younger one. And figured, alright, we'll see where we can go. And I'll invert it, though. I'll make the younger sister the sort of fiery, angry one, and match her up with the brother who's not like that, and then take the other sister, make her like the opposite, and hook her up with the brother who's the angry brother. So they're sort of mirror images of each other that way. I haven't really gotten into them much, but that's what I got. Like, they have names, Carmen and Rhea. And that's so Carmen's hooked up with Cameron and Rhea's hooked up with Sean, and that's how they've changed. They've turned into real things here. K.I.S.S. Yes, with the Arsenal chicks, it's just because Nikki and Jessica got totally rebooted. I mean, they kept the names, and they kept the looks, and they kept New Orleans, and that was pretty much it.
Yep. So Jessica, she's not looking the same now.
No, she doesn't even look the same. No.
No.
Now she looks like the one you told me I couldn't use when we were making them up in the first place.
Yeah, I changed my mind there, didn't I?
It's hilarious. She comes back and suddenly she's cool again.
Yeah.
But how have they changed? Well, Nikki and Jessica aren't like crazy cat people who just live in their house and forget about everything else anymore. Now they're sort of...
No. They actually have friends and socialize now. And there's something new Jessica would not have done.
We probably couldn't have paid her enough to do half the crap they've done now.
No.
And
they are starkly different people.
And then we got. I think the funniest part there is I think we've meant to make Bethany more bi, and she's almost come off more lesbian. And then Jessica was supposed to be the lesbian, and she's the one who's come off bi. It's kind of like, how did they switch places? Whatever. How did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? Well, Jessica, I blame Chris.
T would probably say we could do that for everything.
That's true. Everything is Chris's fault.
And he would probably tell us that's not true either, but, whatever. And Kraven hasn't changed at all yet because, well, he hasn't done anything yet.
No, we've seen him for like 2 seconds.
He's been on a show segment, that's about it. So.
Yeah. Well, he has a match this week. Maybe we'll see something. Okay. So, name some characters you wouldn't mind seeing your characters intertwined with, be it as a rival, opponent, or a friend, partner, or anything.
Basically, what characters would you like to work with?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, playing with Aaron was fun, but that's because, the accents probably drove everybody crazy. I would not mind having the Whirlies go hang out with Polly just for the same thing. And because I know the crazy crap Tim would come up with. And, one of Tim's characters with a couple of Southern Moonshiners. The possibilities there are endless. Yeah. But I'm sure we'd try and push the envelope and find them. Who else could I see them working with? I don't know. It'd be kind of... I'm interested to see where Brody's going to go later. I'm interested to see how Thomas makes the Dark Camelot people, because he started to give them depth now, so it's kind of cool watching them go from, okay, they're these weird people who have like two gimmicks that don't go together, and yet somehow they do, and it's actually working. Which I wouldn't have called that just looking at him, but hey, dude's pulling it off. So. As far as like rivaling and all, well, Song Real's been kind of fun so far, and the Vinnie Jones guy looks like he's gonna be cool, so I suppose them.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is, how do you feel about your style of writing compared to other people?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really.
Fair enough.
I've seen one that I don't like, so. I mean, there's the kind that do the shit Dan does. It drives me crazy, but I can't really say I hated his stuff. So Dan has that habit of doing the. And we see this, and we see this, and we see as we see this, and we see this, and I always want to go, dude, stop it. We don't see everything. But, and half the time he leaves certain words out, so you can always tell when he's been rushing because he wants to go play World of Warcraft again.
Okay, the next question is, do you have a planned ending for your character's journey, or are you just along for the ride?
No, I don't have a planned ending for any of them. Which is probably why some of them are, why the ones who started in CPW are still there. 12 years in.
Yeah.
What? But then again, I don't plan for stuff to go bad either, which is the other thing that always drove me crazy about Dan, was that if you did a group or a stable or anything with him, he was always seemingly planning on it failing. You know, like what he did with Raven and Nightmare, where he didn't plan to make that relationship work. He was waiting for it to die so that he could then do the sort of,
poor me.
what everybody always makes fun of him for, being so fucking emo about everything. He did the same thing later with a couple of the stables he's been in, where you could see he was planning for the stable to fail. So it sort of made it pointless to join up with him. Now you sort of notice he doesn't really do that anymore, probably because everybody's figured that out. I don't do that. If I've entered into a team, a relationship, a stable, whatever, I'm not planning on how that ends. I want to see where it goes. I want to try and make it work. I don't really want it to go down. I've got, like the tag team I got with Riot and Zoe. I thought if we were lucky, the tag team might last a couple of months. It's lasted 2 years, and they just got engaged in our last RP.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I noticed that tends to happen with me. That the relationships last long enough that are like, hey, let's talk about doing this with the characters. Maybe they should, maybe you should ask them to marry you. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. That happened how many times in FCW? I think by the end of that, I had all the girls. Except for Gina's, because she quit after Patty told her basically Johnny had made sure she was never going to get booked anywhere near him ever again. Because he was still mad she beat him. Because you remember how misogynistic Johnny was. And the fact that his first loss was to a girl.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, yeah. If he'd figured out she was Italian, oh my god. Because. Oh, massive.
Against Italians, did he?
He played the Irish gangster. And he himself is an Irish guy from New York City. And he has a real hard-on for gangster stuff. Old movies and whatnot, but he hates the Italian ones. He can't stand them. He hates them. And so any chance he got to mock Italian people, he did. Well, so the two people that kicked his ass over there were Joe and Gina. They're both Italian. He didn't know that when they did it. He, as far as I know, still didn't know it now. But if he ever found out that he got his ass kicked by an Italian guy named Joe from Philly and then lost the world title to an Italian chick named Gina, oh my god, he'd have lost his mind. Yep. And I think she was the only one I didn't get there.
Yeah, because he got all my girls. Or some of them.
Yeah.
At the time.
The second one took a bit, but yeah. That happened.
Yeah. It did. Hey, so what is your favourite thing about your characters?
How they play off each other, I guess. How they play off of other people. I mean, I kind of like that with like Arsenal, that we have this whole little circle of people to work off of with them. And it used to happen all the time in New too, where we'd have 12 characters all in the same RP because we played them all.
Yep, between the two of us.
And that's, I'm doing that with the Whirlies too, and I'm sure I'll do it with Kraven. And Sin.
Yeah. Who hasn't been introduced yet. People are probably wondering who that is. So we'll find out this week. Okay, so what is your favourite thing about UWA?
The people, I guess. So far. Hey, we haven't had a real, truly honest to God douchebag yet.
No, we haven't.
So, and most of them do show up in that little chat room and bullshit with each other. So, nice little group.
Yeah. Hey, if you had to write a roleplay for any other character in UWA that isn't yours, who would you pick and what kind of roleplay would you write for him or her?
Probably Polly, and I'd like do some weird party scene where he ends up blowing up the bar.
That would be cool.
Now, having said that, Tim's gonna be like, "Dude, we gotta do that.
We have to do that."
The next thing you'll see is that he'll be like, he's hiring Arsenal to help him blow up the guys trying to kick his ass for the gun running stuff. And they'll hire the fucking whirlies to bring in a couple of things of moonshine to use as explosives. So.
Yeah. Alright. Who is your favourite non-wrestling character in UWA? Could be a commentator, interviewer, someone's manager.
I don't know. I mean, if we ever actually get to meet Melissa.
Oh, it'll happen one day.
You got to meet her for like
Maybe
5 seconds, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, she's gone. What do you mean she's gone? She's supposed to be the reason we couldn't do a whole bunch of other things. What the hell do you mean she's gone?
But no more spoilers. We don't need to know Melissa's coming back.
Hey, I didn't say she was coming back. I said if we ever got to meet her.
That's true. So I should tell myself to shush it.
You know, because she seemed like she was gonna be an interesting thing, and then...
Oh, she will be interesting. She's gonna be fun to play.
I think Polly's dad would be kind of funny. Just because he seems to bitch slap Polly every time he shows up. That poor bastard, I swear to God. That poor guy. Now, having said that, he's going to come to us and go, can we find a way to get him laid? Because Lord knows, I got Tommy Zeller laid over in CPW, so... Or rather, Terry Williams did.
So, what are the pros and cons of being in a feed that runs shows bi-weekly compared to a show that does weekly shows?
Well, the pros are that you get more time to do things for every specific show. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's great, you have less pressure on everybody because they're not like, oh my god, I've only got 5 seconds to do this, oh my god. On the other hand, that means it's a slower pace, so stories take a little bit longer to get where they're going because you only get an update every 2 weeks. So, like, you're talking about a story that would be on TV would take 6 months to play out. Well, here that would take a year. Because you wouldn't... You wanted to have, you know, a trilogy plus a group match and then something else to break it up. That's 5 pay-per-views. Well, that takes up the entire year. That's your whole schedule. You play that in a weekly one, you did that between January and June.
Oh, sure.
In a weekly one, it's like that shit.
How long did we take to build the Jenny story?
The Jenny one?
What's that? Yeah, that was like 9 or 10 months, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I've done a year story in both of them before, so. I've done a year. I just did a year-long story in New with Robbie Priest and Disturbed, and I've done a year-long run with feuds before in CPW like 3 times. One because it started out as a tag team thing, and my character went through 3 different partners in 4 months to begin it, because he'd had 2 old partners come back and neither one of the guys hung around. And then the 3rd guy finally stuck, and then we did a double turn in the middle to refresh it, because it was Joe and Gina versus me and a partner, and they had been the heels to begin with. And then around, I think that started in like June, and at Christmas we did a double turn where my character went too far getting retribution. So he didn't just get over on the chick, he put her in a coma. And when she woke up 2 weeks later, she didn't know what year it was anymore, and thought the previous, I think it was 2 years, had not happened, and had to be told. And so suddenly she went from being this like twisted heel bitch with a death wish to this poor woman who had just basically had her head knocked off. So that got to go another 6 months that way.
Sure.
Here, that story would have taken 2 years.
That's fair.
And the first year would have been, if it was Jessica and Brody, it would have been the first year was Brody being a dick, and the second year would have been Jessica being a complete cunt to him. And that would have been, or the other way around. It would have been the first year would have been Brody trying to be nice to her, then the second year would have been him going, okay, fuck you. That's, I guess, the major difference. It takes a little bit longer to get to the same place.
Yeah. But it's good too, because you don't have to stress trying to get it out in a week. Some weeks you just can't. Alright, so the next question is there anything you do to help inspire yourselves before or during the process of writing a roleplay?
Depends on what character it is, but yeah, sometimes it's like writing a match. If it needs to be really, really violent and bloody, I put on Slayer. And on my old computer I had a playlist that was all of their albums, so I would just start at the beginning of like Show No Mercy, and usually by the time Raining Blood was playing, I was ready to go, alright, they've had enough, let's go home. Especially if it was a cage match.
No.
Oh, I love me cage matches. I love those. And for some reason, they always turn into bloodbaths. I bounce people off of that shit so many different ways. Oh my god. I had one character in CPW that somehow always ended up in Hell in a Cell matches. After a while, it was like, okay, what haven't we done to him? Because we threw him off the roof the first time. The second time, we put him through the roof. The third time we put him through the roof head first. So then you get to the fourth one in 3 years and going, alright, this guy should honestly be dead. what can we possibly do to him now? So, of course, he was the one who, like, 8 years in, comes up to me the one year and goes, "Hey, Ryan, can you kill me for Christmas?" And his character's death was supposed to be that he got thrown head first off the top of a double cell and went head first through a giant flaming table funeral pyre. That was supposed to end him. Of course, he changed his mind a month later, so instead of killing him, it just put him into a coma for a month. And you would look at how many times that character went into a coma and be like, how is he functioning at all? But he is, God bless him.
Yeah.
That usually happens with RPs too. It'll depend on which character it is, but there are certain characters that get certain specific bands every time. Like the Slade Brothers, the one guy gets Megadeth every time. You pick an album, put it on, there it is. Riot in New tends to be a lot of White Zombie or Rage Against the Machine, depending on which way he's going. I notice with the chicks, it tends to be a lot of Hailstorm. Depending on what they're doing, you know, they're supposed to be, if it's like the partying and stuff like that, yeah. If it's something else, okay, maybe we'll find something else specific to use for it, but that's what it's been a lot. And I notice if I don't do that, that if I'm not doing that and I'm not writing it with you, it takes way longer. Because then I'll be like, oh, look, TV. But if I put the headphones on and crank something up, then I'm like, alright, which one are we doing? Or if I'm writing with somebody, then it doesn't matter what the fuck's on TV. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Okay, cool. Yeah.
And away you go. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, if the WWE or any other promotion you prefer would hire anyone from UWA, who would they hire and why? Choose one male and one female.
Honestly, I don't think WWE would hire any of the chicks just because they all work too well.
But then again, they did hire Paige.
Yeah, but she's young, so she's young and they could still fuck that up. I mean, hey, this is a company that could fuck up a wet dream. See CM Punk. I don't care what anybody says, they fucked that up royally, and it fell right in their laps too.
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
And if he hadn't walked out, they'd have fucked up Bryan Danielson too, and been like, "How come we're not making any money?" Because they keep falling in your lap, and you keep jobbing them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, honestly, if they were going to hire anybody from there, they probably would be Sentinel, just because, you know, big, badass. They love giant guys, and he's kind of big. And, you know, if you look at it just size, then the two guys they'd take from here would be Sentinel and Stalker Knight. Because Stalker Knight, I think, is supposed to be 7'6". So he'd be bigger than the Big Show, and he'd be bigger than Great Khali, and I think he'd be roughly the size that El Gigante was. Oh, poor old Giant Gonzalez. Oh, that poor bastard.
Yeah.
They should have known that was never going to work when the whole reason he ended up in wrestling was because he was too uncoordinated to play basketball for the Atlanta Hawks. And Ted Turner owned both WCW and the Hawks at the time. So when he didn't do well there, they transferred him over to the wrestling thing. Well, he still looks like a draw or a freak or whatever you want to call it, and that's kind of what they tried with him, even though he couldn't speak English because he was from Argentina. And then he ended up working for WWF, and they put that really god-awful muscle suit with fur on it to try and make him look like Sasquatch. But they had the good sense to at least give him a manager, so that somebody else could do the talking for him. But holy crap! But yeah, if they were gonna hire any, WWF was gonna hire anybody, it'd be Sentinel and Stalker Knight. I suppose maybe they'd take a look at one of the chicks and go, "Hey, we can make them arm candy," but I don't think they'd hire any of them really, because they all, especially Erin Donnelly, they look at her and go, "Oh, she fights like a guy. We can't bring her in." Or they do the same thing with her that they did to Natty Neidhart. Be like, "Okay, she's better than everybody else. She can put everybody else over." Same thing they did with Gail Kim too.
Yeah.
I think looking at some of the other promotions, like TNA would probably basically take anybody and pray. Ring of Honor would probably do the same thing, depending on what they were doing, because both of those companies are sort of in the shit. Ring of Honor honestly looks like they're going to need somebody soon, because half their guys are leaving, seemingly.
Oh. Alright, so the next question is, what two athletes that aren't a couple in UWA would you like to see become one? Doesn't matter if it's male, female, male, or female.
I don't know, because I don't know who. You would think about that and go, the only one that's even looked like it could possibly work at all was Jessica and Bethany.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
But
if it wasn't for current circumstances.
But I mean, you look at the rest of them and go, honestly, is there any self-respecting chick character in this place now that you could actually see going with Brody? No, not really.
Nope.
Is there any guy you could honestly see getting with Erin? No, because she'd probably punch them all out before when they even tried. If I had to say anybody I want to see, I want to see Polly get laid somehow. Because that poor bastard just...
and not just by a prostitute either.
Get him something actual, real. Because otherwise he's had to stare at Erin his entire life. And now he's got the whore that's got a dude coming down her neck, so... Bully for him.
Yeah.
Boy, doesn't he have the luck.
Yep. Yeah. So the next question is, who is your favourite UWA couple, be it friends, enemies, or lovers?
Well, if we disqualify ours, then I guess it would be the friends of Erin and Polly.
Yeah, they are a pretty good friendship there, eh?
They're almost like siblings, in a way.
Yeah. They've known each other for that long. Now I've got a couple of questions from Keith, who fed into me on AIM. First one, It's probably gonna make you laugh. But if you could choose any person in UWA to wake up next to, who would it be and why? I'm totally gonna ask this in every podcast.
I'm like, are we talking characters or real people?
So awkward. Real people, I think.
Oh,
I'm
God.
not sure. I just read it how she asked it. Answer for both, I guess. Real and characters.
Okay. Well, let's see. I guess of the characters, I'd say Skylar. Just because she's
See that.
she's
She is
a little
hot.
bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is fucking hot.
I suppose of the real people, I suppose I'd say you, just because that means we actually got to meet finally.
That's true. How long's it been
Something
now?
like
Like
that.
8 years?
You're like,
or
okay,
something?
we finally met.
Could be kind of awkward though.
Well, that depends on where it was, you know.
That is true. Okay, so the next question she had for me was, why did you choose the entrance music you did for your character / tag team stable?
Well, in the Cornbread Mafia's case, it's because the name of the song went with the name of the team. Because the song actually is called Cornbread Mafia. And he didn't know who Molly Hatchet was either. And in their solo ones, it was because dumbass country boy just seemed to describe Cam. And Rockaho is kind of who he wishes he was. Why did I pick what I picked for that? I don't know, probably just sounded badass at the time.
Yeah. So the lucky last question from team, and for the whole podcast, is if you had to put a stipulation on any of the female wrestlers in UWA for a match, what would it be and why?
That probably depends on which one it is, because certain ones would be more fun to screw with depending on which way you wanted to mess with them than others. Because you would look at that and go, there are certain... Anything that would piss Erin Donnelly off would be fun. Just to watch her detonate, just, you know, that's just fun.
Yeah.
You know, there would be certain other ones like Skylar. You wouldn't want to put anything that even resembled being a dirty thought, just because what is she going to care about that? You know, the big deal with her. You know, as opposed to like the the chicks in Arsenal, where you could do anything that would resemble a dirty thought that would actually work perfectly with them, because they'd all be driven crazy by it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, we are not whores. Yeah, well, guess what you're going to be when you lose this one?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is totally not what she was going for there, but, you know.
No, I don't know what it was.
Oh, she was probably figuring there was going to be, you know, dirty minds at work and go, because you know what fucking Chris would come up with in some of that shit. Yeah,
oh, yes.
Look at him and go, oh, he's going to set it up so that you have to. It'd be like the Brian Pillman, Terry Runnels thing, where they implied he got to do whatever he wanted to her for a month, and sort of like, not did we, but how many positions did we hit?
Yeah.
I think that was even the one angle they pulled where he tried to claim he broke his arm and tried to claim he did it because they slipped into a certain position in the shower and he slipped. And he basically pantomimed like he was taking her from behind and you know, slipped and broke his arm. Was kind of looking at, I think it was Goldust at the time, going, yeah, I just can't fight you because I broke my arm banging your wife in the shower.
Oh, awkward.
and that was how they got that stiff of him wearing a dress.
Oh.
But, you know, something like that would work with certain characters, with other ones it wouldn't. Like Skylar, that wouldn't work. Because that would sort of be like, well, what fun is that? The other ones, that would totally work with some of the other ones. Because, I mean, can you imagine seeing the look on, like, Aaron Donnelly's face if you want a stip of that on her?
Yeah.
Oh,
she
yeah.
would
That.
She would probably kill the person.
Give it a shot, yeah. Which would probably make it fun to watch, but not so much fun to be the poor bastard who won that. That poor guy would probably be, okay. So Aaron Donnelly put her master in intensive care today. We expect he'll wake up maybe in a week or so. In the interim, she is no longer bound by that contract.
Yeah.
I could see Jessica doing roughly the same thing, honestly. If she got locked into that, I'm gonna kick your ass. And if she didn't, I could totally see the Kenyon sisters running in and, like, one blows up the building, the other one beats the guy to death, and she's like, what happened? We blew up the motherfucker's house. That's what happened.
Let's go with that problem.
Like, oh shit, he's dead. Damn.
Oh, too much. Too much explosive. Oh well.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all the questions, and we've currently gone for like an hour and 3/4. I wonder if anyone would actually still be listening by this point. Well, thank you for that.
No problem.
I did kind of just spring it on you out of the blue.
Hey, stuff happens.